I used to work for CDC, not anymore. Ebola, HIV, measles, Zika, and malaria, and all other forms of diseases are what we specialize in here at the Center of Disease Control. I would have told you this 4 years ago, but you see, I joined the CDC on the pretext that I would be helping people. I would be killing diseases and overseas operations and helping third world nations by all means of vaccinations and medical attention. That has not been the case. For the first year, I was coming off my service in the Marines. I used my GI Bill to pay my way through college and earn myself a degree in biology with a minor evolutionary genetics. The CDC always seemed like a mountain peak to me, like the pinnacle of healthcare professions. Naturally, when they accepted my job application, I wasn't thrilled. However, I would be working for them as a standard geneticist. They informed me that a distant lack of in field workers demanded that I took the job. I would be working as an emergency response specialist. That's not what I had in mind, but it appeared that my work in the Marines would pay off, as I was physically fit for the job at hand. I was especially going to be working as a member of a security team who would accompany various scientists on response missions. It wasn't the kind of work I had in mind when I pictured the CDC, but it seemed harmless. I was wrong. I first had my suspicions on the second field assignment. I had my team of 4 security officers, and we were sent to several different doctors as we went to investigate a possible outbreak which had struck all 423 passengers on board a cruise ship off the eastern coast of Mexico. It sounded like a simple enough assignment, along with the security of the ship, set up clinics to insulate the victims and treat them. I remember thinking it was odd that they sent in an investigation team for a supposed outbreak. According to the captain of the security force, HQ received an SOS call from the ship's captain, stating an unknown viral outbreak among 80% of all of the on board. We have direct orders that they not be allowed to dock on the shore till we have identified the outbreak. I didn't ask any more questions. I instead geared up and got in the helicopter. We flew in silence for some time. My captain made sure I and the rest of the team were locked and loaded. Our firearms were mostly for show, a sign of authority and a way to make scientists feel safe in uncharted territory. I never thought I'd have to use it. It was complete fucking chaos. Upon landing, we were not welcomed by or greeted by anybody. We were instead surrounded by the smell of copper. I shouldn't have been able to smell it through my hazmat suit, but it was so strong, it was like it was right in fucking front of me. One of the scientists was very visible, ill. The strong scent nearly vomited in its own suit. We made our way to the control room of the ship, but found no one. Lopez, safety off. I obeyed his order and clicked my safety off. We made our way to every compartment on the ship, even the leadership section of the vessel, to find the place completely barren. Checking our corners and proceeding with caution. That's when we heard a voice come over the intercom. Get out of here. I spun around with my gun drawn at the door that lies ahead of us before I took notice of the intercom that lay ahead of us. You need to get down here to the cafeteria. It's the only place we blocked down. I heard one of the scientists bring up his radio and mutter some gibberish back to what I can only assume to be someone from the headquarters. Making our way out into the open deck of the ship, ahead of us lay the ship's main attraction. It's an Olympic-sized swimming pool, completely with 3 water slides, and a fully decked out children's section. The deck was empty, almost artificially empty, like a director was filming a movie about the last man on Earth and ordered everybody off the set. We made our way past the pool to find the barricaded cafeteria. One of the scientists knocked. "I'm Dr. Kelly Marsh. I'm from the CDC. Can you open the door?" There was silence. There was laughter coming from behind us, though. We heard the crackling of an elderly woman. She stood on the opposite side of the pool, staring at us, laughing. She looked tired, with a visible pain in her eyes. The longer we stared at her, the more we realized that the laughter sounded forced. Her voice sounded tired, and upon further examination, she appeared to be coughing up blood between chuckles. We stared at her in disbelief before the door swung open. "Get inside!" Me and my crew more than happily obeyed the captain's request. "Took you people long enough. We've been stuck in this room for almost a week, waiting for—" My captain had put his hand on the man's shoulder and shoved him against the wall. "Sir, you need to calm down. I assure you that me and my team have done everything in our power to get here as fast as humanly possible. Now I need you to tell us what the fuck happened." The man sobered up, as he did the rest of the crew. I took him in my surroundings to find that among the captain of the ship were 3 other lower-level employees of the cruise liner. I didn't see anybody else. The room looked like hell. They weren't kidding about their weekend stay. One of our diving instructors took a group of people out for a lesson. They returned a half an hour early, reporting that a young woman had stepped on something and fell ill. Our nurses on board had no idea what was wrong with her, but at first, she had flu-like symptoms. A day later, she began laughing uncontrollably, laughing at everything. She laughed so much that she began to hemorrhage her throat and was coughing up blood. All attempts to sedate her were met with harsh rejection. She simply refused to go under. She coughed up blood onto one of the nurses. We immediately quarantined along with the woman in the middle of the night. However, the woman had escaped her room. That's when we called you guys. We locked ourselves in this cafeteria, yet not let anybody in. Over the next few days, we began to hear the laughing spread throughout the ship, clawing its way through the walls. Yesterday, it began to die out, and now here we are. Our doctors ran diagnosis and checked up on the 4 remaining staff members. They all were okay. My captain radioed headquarters and uttered a few letters and words that I didn't understand. What I did understand, however, was the order from him to tell us all, including the scientists, that we were leaving the ship immediately. What about the residents of the ship? What about the infected and those hiding out? The ship's captain interrupted. "Well, we'd be sending an even bigger large task force to deal with the outbreak on board, but we need to get you and your crew out of here, now." The captain did not object any further, and we all began making our way back to the helicopter. The lady was still on the other side of the pool, blocking the door to the main bridge. "Ma'am, please step away from the door. We are sending help for you," one of the scientists yelled out. "Help us?" The woman began laughing. Not laugh hysterically, but out tears that made her cry out in pain. We stared at her a few minutes before I was told, "Lopez, take the shot. We don't have time for this." I hesitated before after my job threatened. I raised my gun to her. There was one. All hell broke loose. The woman sprung off the ground like a scene out of The Exorcist and began to sprint around the pool. For us was such insanity that we were all caught off guard. I took the shot and hit her right in the right shoulder. It didn't even seem to faze her in the slightest bit. She just continued her panic, crazed sprint for us. We all provided to each other side of the pool and began to make a run for the door. We were, however, cut off by a little boy who appeared out of the darkness ahead of us and cut us off. The lady stopped chasing us and watched. Now, with an old lady to our backside and a little kid to our front, we were completely cut off. The boy pointed a finger at us and began to laugh, but unlike the old lady, he did not pursue us. Instead, he fell to his knees, and between laughter, he managed to mutter out a few words. "Make it stop hurting." I turned around to my teammates, unsure of what to do. I took the lead and didn't hesitate this time. I put the barrel of my gun against his head and pulled the trigger. I just wanted to put that poor kid out of the God-forsaken misery, at which point the old lady screamed bloody murder and resumed her chase. We began for the door. With me in the lead, I opened the door and began making my way to the helicopter. The others trailed close behind me. Upon turning around, I saw the captain of the cruise ship being held back by the old woman. She held his arms behind him, preventing him from going any further, and dragged his body outside the room, outside the bridge, and to his fate. The rest of us made it to the helicopter and flew back to shore in California. I later found out that the ship was only took one torpedo, according to the reports. They blew it up. As for the three remaining crew members, I never saw them again. I can only assume they were living in a never-ending torment ever what transpired on that ship, or most likely being held in a sub-basement of the CDC. Either way, it doesn't matter, because it's the only tip of the iceberg for my sins against the word committed for the CDC. I can still see the look on that poor kid's face at night when I try to go to sleep. They didn't even try to help those people. That's when it became apparent to me the line of work I was designed with my company. I have more stories to tell, and I will update very soon. Until next time, Lopez.